Welcome back to Vintage Gunpla. Today we're talking about this September 1997 issue of Hobby Japan magazine. So I recently picked this up, partially because I'm going to be working on a GP01 master grade, and I really wanted to find some inspiration for, some of these old school kits and see how people used to build them and kind of like trick them out back in the day. So why don't we take a look? So opening it up, you've got the table of contents, and then it jumps right into this, I guess, feature section on the GP01 and this custom build for it. So you've got these great photos, well, the single great photo, and then these great photos here. Just really cool, showing you some different angles of the kit. And then kind of going into a little bit more detail. So one thing I noticed when I was looking through this magazine, compared to the last one I did an episode on, is that these photos were definitely shot on an analog camera, and there are some of them that are not quite in focus, and I just think that's kind of interesting. So more shots here. I think this is kind of cool how they throw the kid and they put it on this little carrier bed. I think, these shots are really cool. Well, so the booster is, or the fighter is really cool. But I think, I really do appreciate the way that these are shot, and it shows you the detail. I really love the way they did this shadowing here, this kind of like pre-shaded effect. But it's like a very, very standard build. So showing you the core fighter here. I think this is really cool. I think they did a really, really good job with the core fighter. And then going in and showing you compared with the RX-78 here. And then some detail shots of the shield. Fighter in the cockpit, or pilot in the cockpit. And then this shot here. So what's interesting, like going through some of these shots, I don't know if you can tell on the video, but this shot's kind of blurry and this shot is super clear. So some of the photography in this magazine is a little bit spotty, and I don't know if that's something that I'll find more in these Hobby Japan magazines from this era. I have a few more on the way that I'm going to share with you guys. But I just thought it was just interesting because I didn't find that at all in the Dengeki Hobby magazine that I was flipping through. Some cool mechanical sketches and drawings here, and this poster. So this is something that I'm super excited about, and one of my motivations, I've been putting off making this video, and I'm like, I really want to make this video because I really want to cut this out and kind of hang it on the wall above my building desk, my hobby desk, because one thing that I really, really love is in a lot of these magazines when they don't just shoot the kit, but they kind of put it in a scene and they kind of trick out the lighting, and it just makes it feel like it, the model kit exists in a real space, and I think that's super cool. On the other side, there's also these awesome shots. You can kind of see here, it's kind of hard because the magazine peels back a little, but the suit in the hangar bay, and they've created this kind of cool diorama, which I love. And then, I'm not sure what these are. I'm just going to assume that they're kind of maybe shots sent in by fans of the magazine or readers of the magazine. There's this Gundam Wing Dual Story G unit section, which is, I guess, a like Gundam Wing shoot-off that I'm not super familiar with, but they have a little feature here showing some of these kits, and I thought this was cool because I've never actually seen this kit before, or really any of these kits I haven't seen before. This one looks like it's, just a straight snap build, which is a little bit of a shame. It would be cool to see. I'm really curious, like, what one of these modelers would do with this backpack. Okay, so this section is the section that I'm most excited about, and I've been going crazy over this, just looking at it again and again. And this is a custom build of the 1/100 Tallgeese 3 high grade kit. So this is before we had the Tallgeese 3 master grade. which is out now. I believe it's like a P Bandai kit, but this was just the straight up HG, and the person who modeled this just went totally nuts and killed it. I mean, I had to look at Dalong.net and compare it to just the snap build and really get a sense for how much they did, and they did a tremendous amount. So you can see this wind engraving, which is scribed into the model on the shoulder there. Super cool. You can see they've replaced some plastic pieces with this kind of fabric wire on the gun. And as we'll go in, you'll see kind of all the details. You can see here, these are the snap heads, and then you can see where they took the head in this final build. So really a lot of sharpening of the kind of crown on the head, and just some modifications, you know, of the rest of the details, obviously panel lining it up, painting in some of those details. But that's super cool. You can see more of where they've put in wiring. You can see some here and here and here, just to add to more, like, I guess, a better sense of realism on the kit. And the thing that blows me away, really, because I've started scribing and I really am getting to grips with how difficult it is. But they went and they scribed the kanji for wind in the back of the suit, which is just super cool. And then, you know, this is actually one thing, probably the only thing that I'm not a fan of that they did in the kit, which is the way they kind of carved out this calf muscle, I guess, in the leg armor. I kind of like the symmetrical style of the original armor. But, you know, it's okay. It just, I think it makes the legs look a little bit too scrawny. You can see here, they did a ton with these wires or tubing. They put it in the shield, you know, under these panels here. You can see they've added like a ton of just different pieces of machinery and electronics. Super, super good job. And yeah, that's it. I mean, I want to go back to that first shot, these first shots though, because it's just, it's such an incredible job. So this has really inspired me to pick up one of these kits, and it's definitely on my list. I want to pick up the old Master Grade Sazabi, but I also want to pick up this old kit because they show you here that it comes with a bunch of different pieces, and actually this kit comes with all the pieces to build the Tallgeese 1, the Tallgeese 2, or the 3, all in one kit. So the idea of that is super cool to me, and I don't know, this just really inspired me. I know there is that Master Grade version, but I don't know, something about this particular one, it just really is very like tantalizing. I really want to mess around with this kit. Here's a diorama, and I think they're kind of going through this little step-by-step here of how they built it, how they ran the wiring. You can see here it's kind of hard the way they crop the spread, but it's a really cool little diorama. And then just going through some extra stuff. You've got this little feature here on Virtual On, which I think is awesome. I was looking through this and I was thinking about how cool it is that these Virtual On kits, they really feel like that 90s low poly video game look. They look like they popped right out of the arcade game, or, you know, the Saturn or the Dreamcast versions. Super interesting looking mechs, and it's funny because I really can't think of anything else that looks like these. It's just a very, very unique blocky kind of look. And here's this really cool build of this old school Armored Core mech. So I'm just a huge fan of these older Armored Core. I guess, suits or mechs. The new Armored Core sets and kits I'm not a huge fan of. I think they look kind of boring. They look just very like, I find like, I don't know, Marvel Cinematic Universe or something, but this has so much character to it. It feels like something that could have popped right out of an 80s anime, which I love. Showing you how they detailed it up. They did a really good job here. I don't know if those are actual metal parts or if they just detailed it to look like that, but really, really great job. Super unique looking kit. And then they've got a little feature on the game, and they've got some concept sketches here, which I think are really awesome. And then this is Tales' Promised Land. This is some Japanglish going on here. The Tales' Promised Land Link Devicer. I've actually never heard of this property before, but I think the model kit is super cool. Kind of cute how it turns into this little vehicle here. Kind of almost reminds me of something, I don't know. It reminds me a little bit of like Bubblegum Crisis or something. Just a very unique kind of transforming mecha. And these other kits, I think they're all just really unique. This one, it just has, they have these kind of living creature vibes to them, which I think is super cool. And I don't think many other mechas really have that, other than maybe Evangelion. So it's cool to see here. Now this is really cool too. So these are some kits from 5 Star Stories, which is an anime series that I'm familiar with, but I haven't quite seen yet. And I've been interested in picking up the anime or the OVA and checking it out. Because I think these kits look super cool. I love how they built this diorama here of this battlefield where they're battling it out. I think they're pretty unique. I don't know if anyone is familiar with the game Ikaruga, but I get like a big Ikaruga vibe from especially this white mech, and I just think it's pretty neat. Let's see another close-up here. And then this suit too. I think generally all the suits that I've seen from this series, they have this very unique look to them. This kind of slender, like Macross kind of look, but without, I don't know, without looking narrow or inflexible in the way some of the Macross suits do. I think this one is really cool too. It has such like a knight or like paladin kind of vibe. And again, the diorama, which is, you know, like I said in the last episode, it's one of the big reasons that I've been picking up a lot of these kits is because there's a lot of really interesting dioramas and approaches to making dioramas that I find are kind of lacking on YouTube. There are some great YouTube videos about that, but it's definitely much more limited, and there's not quite the breadth that I find and variety in some of these old magazines. This is a really cool kit. I wonder how hard it would be to track this down. Some advertisements here. And then they've got this section on Evangelion. They've got a few different Evangelion builds. And you'll see as this magazine transitions, so there's kind of the beginning section, which tends to, I think, be Gunpla oriented, and then they kind of transition into figures. And I'm not familiar with a lot of these figures, though working on figures, I think, as I get more into airbrushing is definitely something that I'm opening up to more. The prospect of hand painting some of these figures just seems super difficult, but I think with airbrushing it could be like a combination of airbrushing and hand brushing. I think it could be really possible. This is kind of neat. So they take like the gashapon, which are like pretty horrible quality, and they turn them into something that is, I guess, still a little bit like janky looking, but definitely less horrible. But the small scale they're working at is just I mean, it seems incredibly difficult. Got more characters here. Some of these kits I do think look quite cool. I really like how they painted in kind of this really flat matte color, and it looks kind of just like it popped right out of the anime. Always a fan of that style of painting and modeling. Sorry for all you Eva fans out there. I'm kind of just skipping through this section. I'm not either super familiar or a huge fan of the Evangelion series, so I'm not as knowledgeable. I don't have that much to add. Now there's I think a feature on this builder, I'm assuming, or an interview, just talking about just some, I think, different techniques and tools that he uses. Some more ads here. And I'll probably speed up because, as I've come to realize, so a lot of these magazines, the first half is kind of printed in color. And then there's this second half that contains a lot more advertisements and is all printed in black and white. But there are some really cool kits here. There's some stuff, I don't know if I'll have to block out for YouTube. Maybe I'll just like edit around those sections. But there, yeah, there's some kits here. There's some like topless models and things like that. So some ads for some conventions. Some vintage JoJo stuff, which is pretty cool. It's interesting seeing the kind of, you know, older, I mean, the JoJo styles have been pretty consistent, like a lot of the themes remain, but just seeing it in this kind of old figure style is really unique and interesting. Some of the characters and some of the stands is really cool. Some cutie honey here and some other characters that I'm not familiar with. And again, it's that super 90s style with the really big eyes. This is cool. So this is a scratch build from Darkstalkers that you can see here. There's a little bit more of the Japanglish. It's Darkstalkers, but it's Morrigan from Darkstalkers. I think that's pretty good for a scratch build. Really good. Not familiar with this franchise, but it's pretty cool looking as well. Hokkaido. Sister Gili. Not familiar. Not familiar with this either, but this one has another poster, and it's pretty cool. It's a really well painted kit. Makes sense that they did a poster for it, kind of featured it. It's kind of the backside here. Just some really beautiful shadowing, especially on the dress and the wings. Really well done. Although I have, again, a lot of this stuff I'm not familiar with, but it looks cool nonetheless. Some Street Fighter characters. And so I know I said before that it flips into black and white. There are a few color pages here and there, but the magazine will eventually transition into completely black and white for the tail half. I love the look of this kit. Looks like, I guess it's remote controlled, which is cool. And this is really cool too. I know this has been, I guess, I don't want to say kind of popular lately, but I feel like I've seen this a bunch. And it's cool to know that people were doing it, you know, like, you know, nearly 30 years ago, just kind of, you know, doing that picture frame and the character or the model just popping out. Okay, so I'm happy I forgot about this. I think some of these are just super hilarious. This is, I think, a scratch built Kurt Cobain. And I just think, I'm gonna zoom in on it. I just think the facial expression is hilarious. I mean, I think it's not bad for a scratch build. I just think it's just something is off about it in a particular way that just kind of cracks me up. It's just a little goofy looking. There's some ships. So this is creature. Okay, so this is the, I will probably blur this one out. I mean, I'm not sure. I just to be on the safe side. And then you got like a feature on Batman Forever. And some of the vehicles from the movie. And then you've got a bunch of, I guess, movie prop style stuff. Some kaiju stuff, some cars. Some classic Ultraman. And again, you know, I'm not even into Ultraman specifically, but I still think it's cool how, you know, they've gone through creating these scenes that were probably in the show with the actual kits, and they've got these dioramas and really integrating everything, kind of getting like smoke in here. I think it's really, really cool. And these little chibi ones are pretty cute too. Some Godzilla, of course. Love this diorama, which looks quite huge. This one, at least. There's another one here, and this one. All pretty cool. Advertisements. This is cool. Just a retro advertisement for Magic the Gathering. An old set I'm not familiar with. Some plain stuff, which I'm not knowledgeable about at all. Again, yeah, and this is kind of where it goes into like a lot of directories. There is this little Gerber Tetra here, which I saw was a 1-2-20, which I wasn't familiar with until I saw this. I didn't know there was a 1-2-20 Gerber. But that's cool. And then there's some video game reviews. There's like a nice little diorama here of a crashing plane, which is kind of cool. Some convention stuff. And this magazine is just, these magazines are all so thick. There's just so many photos in all of them. So many pages, some tanks here. I love these old ads. I would love to probably track down a copy of this RPG magazine. That looks pretty cool. And now, yeah, there's just a lot of... This is kind of funny, these Kiss figurines. Mecha stuff here, more 5-star stories. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, the rest is just full of advertisements. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I am going to keep posting these videos, especially, you know, those first few pages where they have features. You know, I think just so cool when they do these features. So yeah, I'm going to have another one. I think it's coming in a couple days. And yeah, I'll make another video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.